Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews and another episode of Robert's Thoughts. For those of you who are new here, welcome. For those of you who are subscribers, welcome back. If you guys like talking about movies, make sure you guys are subscribing. It's a huge help and it allows me to continue making content for you guys. But today, it's a Robert's Thoughts episode, so they're unedited. It's just me talking to you guys and I want to know what you guys' thoughts are. What is your favorite character in Harry Potter? What is the best character in Harry Potter? I want to know in the comments below. Let me know. But today I'm going to be talking about what I think may be the best character in Harry Potter, and that is Draco Malfoy. I'm going to try to give you as much insight into it as I can, using both stuff from the books, which I have. You can't really see them because it's dark, but they're down. Which hand is it? It's this one. Down here. You can't really see them very well, but they're down there. I've read them way too many times. And of course the movies, which I have a Blu-ray collection of right there. And I have reviews for all those movies on the channel right now. So after this, if you want to check that out, make sure you do. But I realized through this watch through, where I was rewatching them to make sure I could accurately review them, I came across the idea that I think that Draco Malfoy might be the best written character in Harry Potter. I'm going to provide details from every single movie as to why, but the general idea is that I love a character that can be good and then also bad, right? It's similar to why everyone in the universe loves Loki from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We love him because he started off really bad, and then he kind of gradually got good, and then also bad, and then also good. And we have that similar thing here with Draco Malfoy, and I'm not sure if everyone has picked up on it, so I wanted to kind of talk about it and talk to you guys about it in a Robert's Thoughts episode. It's a complete unedited, just me talking to you guys to see what you guys think about the character. So I'm going to go movie by movie and talk about each movie and how his character develops. So I think it's important that we see this step by step, not only as a gradual arc. Okay? So first, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, where we're introduced to Malfoy. And we are introduced to him immediately. We're supposed to hate him, right? We know that. He's like, I can help you get that. He puts his hand out and Harry Potter's like, I think I found out for myself, thanks. And that is such a small thing in the script, right? It's not a very big part of the actual thing, but it's important because we as an audience are already going to connect with the main character. That is our job as an audience member, is to be like, okay, Harry Potter, that's the title, we like him, he's the good side. And then as soon as Harry Potter says, I don't like this person, we kind of are like, yeah, me too, we hate that guy. And so it is important that we have started out immediately, right when we meet Draco Malfoy, we do not like him. It is important, right? They make that a point. They say we don't like him. Same with like Snape, and same with even with Filch to a certain extent, right? Where we have the caretaker. We don't like him, but if we think about it, Filch in a different way, he's kind of just doing his job. And by the end, we were like, oh, he's funny, and like we don't like him though because we know that Harry has bad experiences with Filch. Same in the book. It is very similar, where we kind of just meet Draco and we immediately are like, oh, we don't like this guy. We know he's gonna be a problem in the future. And yeah, he's kind of a problem in the first one. He doesn't do a whole lot that's bad, but like we just don't like him. And we see that he's just kind of nasty. He has this attitude where like he's rich, he's popular, he has everything he wants, and he's bad. He's in Slytherin, which we don't like Slytherin. So it's interesting that they developed that right in the first movie. The first movie, they're like, he is bad, he is a bad guy, but he's not the bad guy, which is also important. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. In the second year, we see that Malfoy is using his power as a Malfoy to get influence, right? So we meet Mr. Malfoy in this one, and we meet him in very negative regards. In the bookshop, we see that he is very, very nasty to the people that he's around, and he literally basically almost kills Ginny Weasley, which he gets away with. And then we also learn at the end that he is Dobby's caretaker, and he abuses him and abuses him and abuses him, which is extremely important because it shows us how Malfoy was raised, okay? And at this age of 12, we know that kids are only going to act how they were told to behave, right? And we watch this, and we see Mr. Malfoy, and we're like, wow, he's a really awful person. But I don't think that everyone's really quite made the connection that they are father-son. Of course they made the connection for that. But it is important that we know that they are both bad. It is not Malfoy necessarily choosing actively to be bad to Harry Potter. It is more like, my father hates Harry Potter, so I have to hate Harry Potter. And we even go so far as Mr. Malfoy buys the Slytherin team all new brooms so that Malfoy can be on the Slytherin Quidditch team. Again, kind of a minor detail in the film and even in the book, but it's important to note that Malfoy would not have been on the Quidditch team had it not been for Malfoy's father. which is exactly what I'm talking about when we get this whole mirroring image thing where we have the father who's awful, who's kind of teaching his son to be awful, and he's a 12-year-old boy. He doesn't know any better. So it's important to know that just because somebody's bad when they're young means that they're going to continue to do that. I was probably an awful child. I'm sure of it. And I grew up and I was like, okay, let's be an adult about things. And I got better. And same with Draco Malfoy in this regard. Then we visit him in the Prisoner of Azkaban, and he easily is a wilty character here, right? We kind of see that he is mostly by himself. He kind of yells at Harry a few times, but for the most part, he's kind of by himself. And we see that in the snowball scene, where Harry throws snowballs at the Malfoy crew, that he runs away really quickly. He's scared. He's easily scared, as we also learn in this Chamber of Secrets. And also with the scene with the slap, where Hermione slaps him. And he kind of is like, oh, that really hurt. I'm going to go tell my father. And it's him kind of realizing that it is his job to pick on the crew of Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, and Hermione Granger. We literally see him decide that is what he's going to do. He's 13 now. He's kind of older. He's realizing that he needs to figure out where he fits in. He has a couple friends. He's comfortable there. And as we can kind of see a little bit in Tom Felton's performance, who I'm very impressed with, by the way, that he kind of doesn't want to do it, but as he turns around, he's like, oh, Harry Potter's right. I guess I got to kind of bully him a little bit. And then he does. And we see that it's very much more of an active choice for him, because as we get older, we kind of feel like, okay, well, my father taught me this, so I'm going to stick with it, but like maybe we'll change a little bit, which is where we bring to the Goblet of Fire, where in this one, it's very much of a humiliation track for him. We don't see him a whole lot in this film, but when we do, it is him with the Potter stinks button and all that kind of jazz, and we get to the point where we realize that he is very outwardly anti-Harry Potter. We know that. We already know that. But we see Professor Mad-Eye Moody, who is, of course, not really Moody in the fourth film. We realize that, he turns into a ferret and he's humiliated, and he doesn't like that. He's going to tell his father, of course. But that is still his go-to. He has not changed a whole lot from Prisoner of Azkaban to Goblet of Fire. He's very much the same, like, awful person. And so I think it is interesting that we decided to go with that route. I thought we could have maybe changed it a little bit. Maybe where Malfoy gives him a little bit of respect for winning the Triwizard Tournament. But we see that he is a little distraught about losing Cedric Diggory, even though Diggory is, somebody he doesn't really care about. So I think it's interesting. We do see that kind of a soft spot. We don't talk about it a whole lot. Which brings us to the Order of the Phoenix, where he is kind of following Umbridge in being in the Inquisitorial Squad. And he is basically trying to out Harry Potter in being the leader of the Dumbledore's army. And in this, we know that he's just trying to gain favor from the school, so we can't really blame him a whole lot for it. But we kind of see that he isn't putting all of his heart into it, because if Malfoy really wanted to, he very, very easily could have been like, okay, I'm going to, get Harry Potter out of here, but he didn't. And I don't think that was necessarily a conscious thing, more of a subconscious thing, because we see a very big change in the Half-Blood Prince. Now, this is where we really see the Malfoy arc come to a close, right? We're at the tipping point. We're at the climax of the arc, where Malfoy is realizing he's given this really hard task. It is his job to kill Dumbledore. Voldemort gives him this job that he thinks he can do, and Malfoy realizes he doesn't want to. He even says in the tower where he's killing Dumbledore, he's like, I have to do this. He's like, you don't understand, I have to do this. It's not something he wants to do, he has to. He's proving himself to Voldemort and to his father, because that's what he thinks he has to do. But he clearly does not want to. That is the important part of this section of the film. And throughout the entire thing, we realize that he is a nice person. When we get to the disappearing cabinet, when he's got the bird and the bird loses and disappears and all that stuff and sad things happen to the bird, Malfoy is obviously upset about it. And of course he has this mental breakdown. We're in the bathroom right before the Sectum Sempra scene, and we realize, he is kind of sad and depressed, and we feel for him for the first time. For the first time in the entire series, we realize, oh wait, Malfoy's got a really hard job to do. And we also don't want him to complete it, but he doesn't want to complete it himself. And that's why he can't complete it. In the end, it is Snape that kills Dumbledore. That is important. And it blows my mind how soft Malfoy can get in this film. And it really, 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 really is important to his entire character arc. I think that in The Half-Blood Prince, we realize that he wants to be good, but he can't because he's stuck in a situation where he is literally unable to transfer from the bad side to the good side. Which brings us to Deathly Hallows Part 1, where we only see him in the end of the film, where Harry has the stunning spell on his face, so they can't really tell if it's him, but of course Malfoy knows it's him, but he does not say. And this is because Malfoy, instead of reverting to be good only, he decides actively to be neutral. He says, I can't be good because I will be murdered by Voldemort, but I don't want to be bad because he knows it's wrong. So he is completely neutral. He says, I don't know if it's Harry Potter. I can't be sure. And that's really all we get from the Deathly Hallows Part 1, which is okay with me because I think it's a fantastic decision, right? That is an active decision that a character like that would make because he can't go full good because he will be murdered. And he can't be full bad because he really doesn't want to. It's against his character. So being neutral is definitely a very good spot for him until Deathly Hallows Part 2, where first we have the fire scene where he confronts Harry in the Room of Requirement, and we realize maybe he is still bad. Maybe he hasn't changed his ways. Then he loses his friend in the fire, and we realize, oh, he kind of feels sad for that. And they get out of the fire, and Draco runs. He doesn't do anything bad. He doesn't jinx Harry like he could have. He could have killed him right then and there, but he took off. And that is because he is deciding at that one moment again to be neutral. And when Harry dies, and they bring Harry to the courtyard, and we see Draco standing there, and they're asking people to come join the dark side, and Draco has this pained look on his face, like, oh my god, he killed Harry Potter. And we realize that he actually does have a respect for Harry Potter. He fully respects him at this point. And we know that. We can tell on his face. And it's incredibly important. Especially when we move on from that point and he is brought over to the dark side and Voldemort embraces him and he does not embrace him back. He knows he doesn't want to be there. So he goes over to his parents. And then once Harry is like out of there after Neville's like, for all of us, and he pulls out the sword. And of course at that point Harry's like, oh, I'm alive. And everyone's like, oh my god. At that point it is extremely, extremely important that we realize that Draco leaves. Draco doesn't simply just go and abandon Voldemort. And we assume that's the last time that he's ever been even at Hogwarts. And we pick up 19 years later at the end where Harry and Draco exchange a nice solid nod and a smile. And he's a father now, and he looks like a good father, and we can only hope that his son will be raised opposite with what Mr. Malfoy was, which clearly it is. He seems much nicer, his kid seems happier, and that is how he learned. Draco learned by his father to not be his father. He actively learned to not be his father, which is incredible. I'm not going to talk about the Cursed Child because I don't like the Cursed Child. It is technically canon. I hate it. I don't consider it canon. But that is Draco's arc. It is fantastic. It is a wonderful tale of beginning to an end, from bad to good. And we don't have enough of these arcs out there in movies. I'm sure there are more, and I'm sure I love them all. But this is one that is so obvious. I don't think people talk about it enough. I think people like his character just because he's got this mysterious vibe to him. But he is a deep, deep character. I think Tom Felton did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I think it is definitely important noting, and that is why I made an entire video about it. So if you guys like this video, make sure you guys are subscribing, commenting down below what you guys thought about Draco Malfoy. Or is he your favorite character? Is he the best character? Let me know in the comments below. I want to know your thoughts. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Once I hit 150, if I have not already, I'm going to dress up like Spider-Man and go to Walmart and film that for you guys. If you want that, make sure you guys are subscribing, dropping a like, sharing with your friends, and as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.